It's Monday, October the 6th. Good morning and a warm welcome to your perfect day starter, the Morning Brief. I am Kayode Okikelu here in Lagos.
Well, from the nation's capital, it's the calm after what appears to be a stormy weekend in some parts of the Federal Capital Territory. But the calm after the storm is a good way to start your day, isn't it? From anywhere you are in the world, good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka. Hi, Kayode. How are you doing?
Well, doing great here in Lagos. It rained overnight, so it's a wet or sort of a cool morning. It looks like it might rain some more today, so absolutely get your umbrella today. But Bukola, tell us about what exactly played out over the weekend in Abuja.
Well, it was a very calm weekend here in Abuja. You might want to, keep your eye on the National Assembly, because gradually it appears as if legislators are returning to Abuja. You know, of course, that plenary will resume. The National Assembly will resume on Tuesday. So that's something to watch out for as far as, politics, or if you like, legislative business at the National Assembly is concerned. And we're also keeping our eye very close to the presidential villa as well, watching out for things as they unfold during the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting. Of course, speaking of what to watch out for from the National Assembly, the deliberations on constitutional review, of course, we'll also be watching out for the women bills, women representation, and of course, deliberations on, supplementary appropriation by the National Assembly. So those are the things to watch out for from the federal capital this week. But speaking of the weekend, it was a bit calm here in the federal capital.
Of the major events.
And speaking of the weekend, I was hoping that Kayode was going to, talk to us about that very bright blue weekend in Lagos. Speaking of the Lagos EP1, it was something to behold on social media over the weekend. It appears as if a new interracial exotic culture is emerging in Nigeria. I see how those magnificent, colorful boats, enhance the aesthetic beauty of, Lagos seas. It was beautiful to behold. And there's so much potential that may be coming through from the Lagos E1 Grand Prix when you consider, the backward integration, if you like, the new emerging, the new emerging business side to this Lagos EP1. The boats, the engagement of the youths. Will they be manufactured in Nigeria? Will they be manufactured abroad? Whatever the case, beyond the tourism aspect of it, beyond the sportsman, the sports aspect of it, there seems to be an economic value chain. Yes, those were the words that I was looking for at the beginning. The economic value chain side to the Lagos EP1, but it was beautiful to behold the convergence of sportsmen from the world over. And congratulations, by the way, to Team Brazil that emerged victorious in this first round of the Lagos EP1. But according to the reports from the coverage, we understand that there's a next leg to this, and the tournament will continue. But it was quite beautiful to behold the beauty of the boats on Lagos seas. And we hope that, of course, this will also be duplicated across states of the Federation. We're looking to see, other coastal states joining in the fray to enhance revenue, to engage youth positively, and to draw, the international community to Nigeria, for such an event that brings together people from all over the world. So it was beautiful. Kayode.
Oh, absolutely, Bukola. I knew this was always going to be an issue. First time it's holding in Africa, and it comes to Lagos. The E1 Lagos GP. I knew it was going to be an issue for a lot of people because this is the first time. So it's okay. We forgive you, Bukola, particularly the lovers of these emerging sports for calling it the EP1. We totally forgive you. The E1 Lagos GP, first of its kind in Africa. Yes, Team Brazil won. But I must say, I mean, look at Victoria Island. Bukola, see the beauty of it, and this means
absolutely
a lot for sports, tourism, the potential. I know other states are watching. I saw a video of Ondo State yesterday. Some people playing on the waterway saying, "We're ready to please come to Ondo State." But this is what we expect to see. States competing on things like this, you know, the kind of positive competition, the healthy competition we want to see is this right here. I know there was a lot of debate around this yesterday, but the big picture is that this held in Lagos and by extension Africa for the first time. It was a huge success. There was a big after party. So congratulations to Lagos and of course the organizers. This is part of a bigger UIM E1 series. It held in Saudi Arabia in 2024, and this is an emerging sport. So I'm glad that it came to Nigeria first, or at least second. And of course, we can always tell the world that we did this, we can do bigger stuff. So congratulations to Team Brazil. And I must say, Bukola, that yesterday was a day of winnings in some sense, spilled over into today. Big Brother Nigeria also saw a winner emerging in the person of Emisi, winning the Big Brother show, which for a lot of people was a big one, right, for those who watch it. So yes, there was that winning as well. Team Nigeria, I'm talking about the under-20 team, also, well, it wasn't a win, but eventually qualified for the next round in the under-20 World Cup holding in Chile. It was a 1-1 draw against Colombia up until early this morning. So it was good to see a late penalty helped Nigeria secure that draw, and we finished as one of the best third teams. But the interesting thing is we'll be facing Argentina next. So quite a number of things, Bukola, that happened over the weekend. So congratulations to all of those who won, and hopefully that win spills over into this week. Bukola.
Speaking of other, events that may have taken place ahead of the weekend, we also saw last week the arrest of 2 fake policemen who were intercepted by operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. And we saw that they were intercepted with hundreds and hundreds of wraps of, cannabis. And it was disappointing to watch, particularly because one of those arrested happened to be an ex-police officer, a 71-year-old ex-police officer, to be precise, identified as Monday George. He was dismissed as an ASP, and the other was identified as Ezugo Destiny Uche, who was 41 years old, according to the report. And the occupants of, they were intercepted with 2 Hilux vehicles, by the way. The occupants of the second Hilux abandoned the vehicle and fled the scene on citing the troops. A total of 1,134 blocks of cannabis were recovered from both vehicles. So it was not just hundreds. Over 1,000 blocks of cannabis were recovered from both vehicles. It's important to note that the police officers are fake, but Monday George was dismissed as an ASP, and he's 71-year-old. Well, we must also ask questions about how, they get uniforms, of the Nigeria police force, and how they're able to get away with all of this. We might also want to mention that they were traveling all the way from, I believe, a southwestern state to Taraba. How they, escaped all of the checkpoints through their travel up until they got to Taraba is something that, begs questioning. We want to ask questions of all those federal highway checkpoints. Why did these men, escape all of those checks without being intercepted until they got to Taraba? But it's a good thing that they were intercepted, and that those who arrested them didn't compromise, and they've been brought to book. And of course, we expect that the NDLEA will destroy these contraband items that were found with these fake policemen. Kadi.
Well, very important point there, Bukola, that you made. What happens to this afterwards? But I must draw a bigger picture as well. So what we see from time to time is vehicles that have sirens, Hilux particularly. I'm talking about the pickup trucks. Let me just say that. You see a lot of them with tinted glass sirens and all of that. Just drive recklessly. A lot of them have private plate numbers. Some of them don't even have plate numbers, and they're not even attached to any security agency. But once you have a pickup truck, tinted, painted black with a siren, you do anyhow. You see, even operatives do not stop them because they just imagine this one's a security agency. But I think that must stop. Sirens must be enforced. If you shouldn't, I don't think anybody aside a governor should use a siren in a state, or maybe the president. Any other person, there shouldn't be a siren. I really don't get it. And that's why we have crimes like this being perpetrated, because a lot of people have not found that code. Once you have a pickup truck, you tint it, you put a siren, nobody stops you. So I think we need to look into that the more. There are a lot of people who commit different crimes under that guise, and it's something they've sort of hacked. So good one to the NDLA, but I really want this to be a general thing for the police. Once you see any pickup trucks, stop them, find out what is happening inside. Nobody must use that to perpetrate crime. But we must mention, Bukola, quickly, over the past months, over 1 year, almost 2 years now, the kind of narrative that has been coming from Rivers State has not been palatable. But we must highlight this one. There was a meeting over the weekend between the reinstated governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, the FCT minister, and elders in Rivers State, some sort of reconciliation meeting to strengthen the peace. I mean, this is way better than reporting protests, reporting on state of emergency, reporting on political unrest. So we must commend the parties that at least they're coming together and having talks. So it's more of a Georgia rather than a war. So it's really commendable. These are the kind of things we want to see, and hopefully even see some sort of E1 Port Harcourt GP or something even more interesting happening in Rivers State, because those are the things we want to be seen across states, not political unrest, right, Bukola?
Yes, indeed. We saw, the Speaker of the Rivers State Assembly at that meeting alongside other members of the State Assembly, the governor, his godfather, political godfather. We saw him at that meeting alongside other Rivers elders. And we hope that by this, the door on acrimony and, every other negative commentary that has come out from Rivers State in the past 2 years has been firmly shut. And then we open the door to, as you said, Kadi, reconciliation, peace and forgiveness. And of course, more importantly, political stability in Rivers State henceforth, and the effective management of the resources of Rivers State for the benefit of Rivers people. But Kade must also mention something that is, at the heart of the events in Rivers State in the last 2 years, and that is the lack of accountability. We don't know what exactly transpired between governor and his political godfather. We don't know the nature of the disagreement, even though, some of, the narrative shaping events would be that the resources of Rivers State is at the heart of it. And that's the exact reason why there seems to be this gaping lack of accountability. And it's an important lesson that it appears as if we refuse to learn as a country in our politics. And it happens time and again when political godfather and godson fall out. So it's significant to highlight that that is one lesson that we have still not learned. But for Rivers State, we are glad that peace has now returned. Kadi.
Absolutely. So there you have it, some of the major events over the weekend that you may have missed. Yes, the president was also in Plateau State. There was a lot of talk about that. But we'll take a moment now, and when we return, how are the dailies reporting all of the big stories of the day? Mr. Dayakintobi joins us as we walk through the big stories. Stay with us, we'll be right back. All right, So let's take a look at the front pages. We have joining us in our Lagos studio, as always, Mr. Dayo Akintobi, Public Affairs Analyst. Mr. Akintobi, good morning.
Very good morning to you. Good morning to Nigeria.
Good morning to Nigeria. Nigerians, rather. Was it a restful weekend for you, by the way?
Yes, indeed it was. We didn't have any choice. The rain kept us indoors. For a moment, it actually delayed the boat race.
Right.
They had to call it off, delay its start because the rain was so heavy. So everybody stayed indoors, had a nice cool evening, cool day. Nice.
If you don't want to rest, the rain will make you rest. So on behalf of all Lagosians, I want to say thank you to the rain. But let's take a look at the big stories. I want to imagine that the E1 Lagos GP will make its way to the front page. But this Nigeria sort of paints the other side of rain, the bad side, and it's about flood. Tension rises as Kainji, Jeba, Shiroro set for discharge. Experts slam states for poor preparedness. Lagos, Anambra, assured residents. So we're getting to the peak period. Once October comes, you know that October, early November is usually a very tricky time. I don't know if to ask what are your projections, or what are your concerns, or what are your worries about this year's peak flood season?
Well, it's starting to sound like a broken record because we talk about this year after year after year, and government issues early warnings and says, those of you in low-lying areas, evacuate, move to higher areas, clear your drainage. You see government put out agencies going out to clear drainage channels. You can see this movement in Lagos now to demolish a lot of buildings that are built on drainage channels and are causing inhibiting free flow of water into the estuaries. And essentially, government seems to be trying to do its best. And you know that it's a natural phenomenon that each year the rain is going to come. It's a given, as sure as night follows day and day follows night. You know the rain is coming. And when it does, the water levels rise in the dams. And to stop the dams from overflowing and from bursting, they need to release water. And you know what happens? Even when Cameroon releases water from Lagdo Dam every year, you see what happens, even when it's not raining here. So we have enough advance warning of Mother Nature and her depredations and what she's all about. So that gives ample opportunity both to government and to individuals. I think we rely too much on government for everything. I think we have some individual responsibility to do some things ourselves. And we have a number of bad habits that contribute to flooding, apart from just the topography. Our waste management is poor. I said it here the other day, I was driving behind a vehicle and somebody tosses a piece of plastic out of the window on the road to create litter. That plastic bottle will roll and roll and roll and end up in a gutter somewhere, and that will accumulate and will clog that drainage channel. So we need to look inwards first. How are we doing our own individual environmental sanitation? What are our practices in terms of upkeeping environmental sanctity? Are we keeping our gutters clear? Are we disposing our waste properly? Are we building our houses a bit higher? Like where I live, you have to climb 3 steps to get inside the residence. So the street floods naturally, but the water won't come into your premises. And then as the rain recedes, it'll flow away. Now, I think Lagos State, I'm not sure of other states because I live in Lagos. Lagos State, I see its efforts that they actually put these crews out who come and desilt the gutters at the onset of the rainy season. But where the fault line comes is after they've taken the debris out of the gutter and put it on the side of the road, those who should come and clear it don't come. Then it rains and the rain pushes it all back in. So we're back to square one. So I think government can do a little bit more, but we as well as individuals have a role to play in this as well, because Mother Nature will always follow its course, and it has given us a predictable pattern. You already talked here that October is here, November is the peak. We already know what to expect. So it's not coming as a surprise. So we can be proactive. We don't have to be reactive when the floods have come and our homes have been sacked and our streets, we need canoes to navigate our streets, is when we now start running helter-skelter. We can take defensive measures prior and not afterwards.
Oh, there you go. So we have ample opportunity to at least avert this or ensure that we're not impacted as negatively. Bukola? Okay, I'll take another one. Just take two. I think it's a lucky Monday for me. So let me take another daily just before we head over to Bukola. Right. And the next paper we'll take is a Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper speaks to something very interesting, and it's about lithium. $92 billion lithium rush leaves Nigerian investors behind. Why domestic investors are not yet there, that's from Muda Yusuf. Foreign investors should not own mines 100%. That's according to miners. You see Nasarawa leading in lithium mining friendly policies. The governor's essay, and federal government says no special policy on lithium. So clearly there's a global market for this for obvious reasons, right? We all have it in our hands.
Absolutely.
Right? But it looks like investors are being left behind. But there's always mixed messaging about the mining industry in Nigeria. So we hear that, and we know, we're certain that we're blessed in that sense. One of the things we tout, Nigeria is blessed, with all of these deposits. But then it looks like it's out of our control in some areas. What you hear is foreigners taking advantage of it, and then the locals are pushed behind, and then you hear that it's also fueling insecurity. So it's almost like this blessing has now become a curse, while others are smiling to the bank on our behalf.
Well, no, it hasn't become a curse. It just has become an unexploited benefit or a misdirected benefit, because the country at large and the communities where these resources lie are the ones who benefit least from it. I don't think what's happening in mining is any different from what happened with oil and gas crude oil for many, many years. The thing is, we've not paid a lot of attention, corporate attention, and by corporate I mean government, has not paid a lot of attention to the fact that there are mineral resources buried underground that have a lot of value when they're refined or when they're sold to the market, that to convert them to usable products. Now, the current Minister for Mines, Dele Alake, has done a lot of work to revamp the entire sector, the ecosystem of the mining industry, the mineral resources sector. And he has tried to streamline the way these resources are brought out of the ground, codify the ownership, because what's been happening basically is the foreigners have been coming, do a pact with the villagers who really don't know the value. I mean, look at lithium, for example. As you said, our telephones, our computers, our laptops, any gadget, just about any device that uses a battery is fully dependent on lithium. And this is something we have in abundance, but we've not exploited. And foreigners have seen that, just like they did with our oil industry. But because we quickly had a eureka moment with oil, we were able to latch on and make certain joint venture agreements with the IOCs that made sure that something was coming back to us, not just the people in Niger Delta making these agreements with the company and they deriving the benefit. But in terms of mineral resources, we've not gotten to that level yet. People have looked the other way for a long time. Government has looked the other way, probably because mining is a lot more complicated. With regards to oil, for example, for a long time technology has existed that minimizes human intervention. Human beings don't go down several hundred meters into the ground to dig up the oil. They have rigs and machines that do this, that remove the human element. But in terms of other natural resources, you still have to mine the old-fashioned way. You still have to basically dig. And you've seen pictures in Zamfara, for example, where you see people scooping out mud and separating it and trying to find gold and things like that. So there needs to be stronger government regulation and policy in terms of who can mine mineral resources. Investors, as you said, are more or less not getting the ample opportunity to participate in this gold mine, because of course it is a gold mine, because it's a raw material that has a lot of value, that has more value when it is refined, just like oil. And the refiners, those who are able to use it to create an end product out of it, are usually overseas and they're foreigners. Indeed. So we see a lot of foreigners. I've seen the Chinese, I've seen a lot of foreigners coming here with an interest in partnering on our mining or on mining our mineral resources, but they're not talking with government. They're talking with the villagers where the resources lie. Yeah. And I understand that a lot of the insecurity in the north, a lot of it is based on a hunger and a desire for illicit trade in our mineral resources.
And that's where you just look at that blessing and wonder, how much of a blessing is a blessing when you look at the negative aspects? I was going to ask you if you caught Big Brother Naija season 10, because it's also on the front page. Emisi wins BB Naija season 10, gets 150 million naira, although I hear that there are deductions and all of that, and it may come down to lower than that. But did you catch any episode of it?
Yes, I have a young teenage protege who was totally stuck on this thing through. So anytime I came in the house, it was on the TV. I couldn't escape.
It was inevitable.
It was. I couldn't escape it. So yes, I caught it, and it was a grand ending, and the entire season was quite enchanting, and it left a lot of suspense, and there was a lot of interaction among the housemates, and it was a good one, and it ended well. Congratulations to the winner.
Congratulations to Missy. I hear that she was able to connect with the streets.
Yes.
In that sense, which is a very good strategy if you want to win. If you want to win anything at that in Nigeria, people need to know that you're connecting with them on that level.
Absolutely.
Not too much of, posh and packaging. Bukola, I took 2. It's all yours now.
Congratulations to Emisi, and congratulations to the women. It's always a good one when women emerge victorious in any field, even in Big Brother. But you might need a bigger strategy to win the heart of your landlord anywhere that you find yourself in, particularly if you're in Nigeria. And the Inquirer is drawing our attention to a housing challenge in the country this morning. Mr. Akitobi, take a look at this. Rising rents, housing shortfall, squeeze Abuja residents. And there's an interesting rider. Landlords prefer Yahoo boys. So it's as if the Abuja Inquirer is telling us this morning that landlords now seem to prefer the certainty of illegitimate proceeds for their rent to proceeds from honest toil and sweat from men of integrity. Mr. Akitobi.
Remuneration coming from honest toil in a challenged economy can be sporadic. So if you are a landlord, especially an investor, probably someone who got a loan to build his property, you'd rather have a guaranteed steady flow of income, and the illicit money, the illegal money seems to guarantee that a lot more. However, I'll put a rider on that and say that a Yahoo boy can't be relied upon to meet his obligations, because in spite of the fact that he may have a bit of money to throw around, the fact that he's morally bankrupt enough to be able to generate income from illegality means that he's not dependable. So I think any landlord who would rely on the fact that a Yahoo boy is more reliable than somebody who is toiling for his daily bread in an honest fashion, I think such landlord is living in a fool's paradise, because that Yahoo boy eventually will default on his rental payments. He may have made a good payment up front just to acquire the property or to acquire tenancy in the space, but once his activities continue over time, he can't be relied upon. Secondly, there's a law enforcement angle to where if illegal activities are being carried out in your premises, you could be held liable to some extent. When the police come and raid the place and confiscate all that they find there, they could take the landlord to task. There's something called KYC that the banks are doing, which is called Know Your Customer. As a landlord, it's incumbent upon you to also do the due diligence on anybody before you rent to them. What do you do? Where do you work? Who are your references? Where did you live last? And what kind of a record did you leave there? These are the things that landlords should do to begin to weed out the undesirables in our midst. I mean, I don't care how much a Yahoo boy has to pay me. I wouldn't want to rent any of my property to anybody who is doing something illegal that could now turn around and jeopardize the sanctity of my own residence. Apart from neighbors, apart from co-tenants, there is the aspect that police could actually, I think, I'm not sure, I'm not a lawyer, but they could probably even go to court and get some sort of order to confiscate your property if they can prove that you knew that unlawful activity was going on there, and you turned a blind eye to it. So I think that there's a housing crisis without a doubt, and not just in Abuja, in Lagos as well. Rents are sky high. There's not as many affordable properties to go around, which is why I would like to see government intervention in more low-cost and medium-cost housing. I think in as much as a lot of governments have a lot more money in their hands now from savings from subsidy, I think there needs to be more of a concerted effort to provide low-cost and medium-cost housing for the masses, the working-class masses. This would take the pressure off the skyrocketing rates of rental. Agents also need to be called to order, because the commissions that agents charge for you to move into a place is almost as much as the rent itself, which puts additional pressure on renters. And so I don't think it's a win-win situation for a landlord to think that just simply because a Yahoo boy or even a drug dealer or anybody who is into any kind of illegality, simply because they have a rash of cash, means that they would make a better tenant. I think if you're immoral in one aspect of life, you will be immoral all the way across.
Well, you are right on the money there. You know, the story is a sad reality of our times. And, you know, it's also, what you've said is also reminiscent of, I think, Benue State, where you stand the chance of losing a structure, a building, if it's found to be hosting kidnappers or even, in fact, victims of kidnapping. But let's go to a New Telegraph, you know, to draw insight from yet another story. It formed some of our talking point at the beginning. Wike leads reconciliation meeting for Fubara, Amewule, others. And there's just one rider there. Fate of governor's chief of staff uncertain. I wonder if this casts any shadow of doubt, however minute, on the peace process in Rivers State. I recall that the former chief of staff, I don't know if he's the one that will resume that office, Edison Ehie, had sued the head of service for libel, I think just before the suspension. But Mr. Akitobi, what are your thoughts on this against the backdrop of happenings before Fubara's suspension?
Well, there's mixed messages here, because in addition to the fate of the chief of staff being uncertain, we're also hearing that Fubara's loyalists shunned the meeting. That is a bit worrisome. In spite of what Kayode said in the beginning at the opening of the program, that it is a good sign, and I agree with that, that finally for the first time in Rivers we are seeing a state of detent, where warring factions are coming to sit down and have a peace parley about joining hands and collaborating to move the state forward. And for the first time in about 2 years, we are seeing everything devoid of rancor, and they are hugging and they are harmoniously talking about collaboration. But there's still some shadows that are uncertain. The reinstated governor sacked his cabinet this past week, sacked all the commissioners, and is set, I guess, to renominate new ones and send for confirmation. That might be part of the peace agreement. Might have been that he would get rid of his commissioners, and the new ones probably would come from putting their heads together and joint agreement between the various parties. But I don't think the contention is fully resolved yet. I think there are some ominous signs if we're reading the tea leaves. And I think the issue that you brought up about the chief of staff is one, the fact that Fubara's loyalists, because at the end of the day, he's not going to govern on his own. He still needs a kitchen cabinet. He still needs the people who he listens to, the people whose advice he trusts. And if they are shunning a peace meeting, it probably means that all is not yet well in Peoria, and that they are either staging this to make it look like there's peace, or they have a genuine desire. Fubara has a genuine desire for peace and is ready to move forward even without his lieutenants, and is ready to be in the den of vipers on his own, and come what may, he will deal with the consequences.
All
Okay, so we'll see how that plays out. And that's the thing with politics sometimes. You never know what to expect until you see it.
Yes.
But I'm sure a lot of Rivers people are saying, can we just have peace?
Absolutely.
For the next 1.5 years plus till this administration is over. At least is that too much to ask for?
No, it shouldn't be.
But, Mr. Akintobi, let's take a look at Leadership newspaper this Monday morning and see how the paper reports the big stories. Cooking gas is what I choose to pay attention to. Cooking gas prices to go through the roof nationwide. It's at page 36. I'm wondering, I think it has gone through the roof already.
Yeah, it has.
Where else is it going for the moon now?
Stratosphere.
Stratosphere. Come on, 15,000 for cooking gas, and what are you even cooking at the end of the day? So first, that's one of the big stories on the front page, but there's this other issue about alleged certificate forgery. It's something that has been under the radar for a while with the Minister of Science.
Yes.
And pressure is mounting on Science Minister Naji to resign. Civil society groups, lawyers, others say he must leave. How court turned down minister's request to stop release of academic record. So this is a big deal by every measure. The Minister of Science and Technology, Uche Naji, embroiled in degree certificate issues, and he had gone to court to bar the school, that's University of Nigeria, Nsukka, from releasing the details. But we understand the court rejected it, and there have been some sort of evidence to point or to confirm that maybe this wasn't issued at the end of the day. Big scandal for this government, particularly for this minister.
My consternation is the fact that this man was screened, not just by the National Assembly, not just by the Senate, but any presidential nominee, especially for the position of minister. The DSS does massive screening. I know somebody who's gone through the process and was grilled, almost down to his DNA was checked. Any and every person he's ever spoken to was checked, down to every school he attended all the way from nursery. So it's a very thorough, rigorous process. So the question I ask is, how did this one slip through the cracks? Because definitely he was screened, screened and investigated by the security architecture, and he was now confirmed. He was screened and confirmed by the National Assembly. So if it all pans out, which it is looking, as a matter of fact, I saw one headline this morning that says he admitted he never graduated from UNN. Yes, but that's not to say he didn't graduate from somewhere else. But at least for this morning so far, he's saying he didn't complete his studies from UNN. So the question I ask is, how did he slip through the cracks to where this was not just exposed, but also brought to bear on the decision to confirm him as a minister? And as you said, it's egg on the face of the administration, especially in light of the fact that there were issues surrounding the leader of the administration in terms of certificate issues as well during the campaign. Fortunately, that was put to rest before he was sworn in, and that was already sorted out. But for there to be another one within the administration so soon at the onset is not good. First of all, for our public image, for our international image. It's also not good in terms of our regulatory process, our investigative process, our screening process, that such a thing could have happened. You know,
this had started since, I think, 2023, actually, July or thereabouts, and it's lasted up until this moment.
Yes, because he was using legal dodges to inhibit the release of the information.
It's an important ministry, science and technology. You know, I was just going through, the news yesterday, and I saw the reports about Big Brother and all of that. And just right under it, I saw countries talking about artificial intelligence and all. I'm like, okay.
Absolutely.
I'll just leave it at that.
That's a pivotal ministry. Such a thing shouldn't be happening there at all.
Mr. Akintobi, we have to thank you so much for your time. The right thing must be done always. Not just for this generation, but for the coming generation and the world.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure to have you, Mr. Akintobi. I must say you look good as always. I wish you a great day ahead.
You are most kind. Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria.
Thank you. Well, we'll take a moment now, and when we return, it was Teachers' Day over the weekend. And, you know, they say it's a thankless job sometimes. The teacher's reward is in heaven. But no, we're talking about that right here on the show next. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. So Sunday, October the 6th was World Teachers' Day. And, of course, a day set aside by UNESCO in conjunction with the ILO to draw attention to the contributions and values that teachers bring to the education sector. But beyond the yearly ritual and celebration and themes, what progress have we made to upgrade our teachers, who also use the day, by the way, to remind everyone that their reward is here on earth, not in heaven? Let's join the conversation. And joining me on the program this morning is the Chief Executive and Registrar of the Teachers Regulation Council of Nigeria, Dr. Ronke Soyombo. She's right here with me in our Abuja studio. Good morning, Dr. Soyombo.
Good morning, and thank you so much for inviting me.
And thank you for holding on and for arriving early.
Thank you.
Despite the challenge.
Thank you.
So this year's celebration is recasting teaching as a collaborative profession. How is this theme relevant to the plight of teachers, particularly here in Nigeria, where the concern is always about issues around remuneration, training?
Thank you very much. I'll take the word collaboration, because that's something we have seriously focused on for this year's teacher celebration. We need to emphasize that more, because if teachers, you will see that every teacher has a gift, and our gifts are very different. But what we're propagating in education is for everybody to come together, plan lessons together. You might be 3 teachers teaching a particular year group. If you plan things together, you're bound to actually bring in more ideas than somebody just working in isolation. So at all levels, that is something we're propagating. And when you look at the 21st century education as well, it is very important that we cascade that down also to our children, because we expect children to have the 4 C's in classes. When we say the 4 C's, we're talking of collaboration. Allow our children to collaborate, allow them to have mixed ability groupings. Sometimes you can have ability groupings, but all those things are the things that will bring education to the limelight, really. And that's something we're seriously emphasizing. And I must say, teachers are really, really eager this year to see how they can really build more on that, on collaboration in their different schools. And also, another thing is, in terms of leadership as well, teachers can go to other schools, see the school that is performing really well. How can I share the good practice from here? Because in every nonsense, there is a sense. Even though you might say that school is not good, that school is not, visit somebody else's school. You will see something you can take away back to your own school, something you can do, something you can replicate, because no man is an island. So we've got to work together. And that's something we're seriously propagating this year.
It makes a lot of sense. Collaboration is key in any field. But I'm just wondering how motivated Nigerian teachers are to collaborate, particularly those in the public sector. But we'll have time to talk about that. Let's look at what is, resounding from yesterday's celebration. And the First Lady was also speaking. She talked about the global teacher shortage. And the NUT also spoke to the same issue yesterday and drew attention to 194,000 plus shortage in teaching in Nigeria. That is concerning. I wonder what the mandate of, or how positioned is the TRCN's mandate to help reduce this shortage?
Thank you very much. With that, there's no doubt about that we have shortages of teachers. However, what we're doing is, how can we, because we are professionalizing teachers, and you cannot be professionalized if you don't have the teaching degree. So what we are doing with this particular government, under the leadership of Dr. Lausa, is that we are accelerating professional diploma in education. For people that don't have it, now is a time where they will be able to have access. Instead of using the 1 year, we're actually accelerating into 6 months, so that as soon as they finish the course, then and this is only for experienced teachers, because we have quite a lot of experience unqualified teachers. They're graduates of other disciplines, but they're not educationists. So as soon as they come in, those are the kind of things that will make us to have more teachers into education. So we're going to be having a lot of teachers coming into education, because people are very eager now to get accelerated as quickly as possible, and in order for them to get certified as well with TRCN. And that's something that TRCN is doing. And the other thing that TRCN is doing is, when it comes to teachers, how can we upgrade our teachers? we are also supporting them with resources in classes. So that, what we're setting up is teachers supporting teachers, because there are some very cream teachers that are very, very good. And what they're doing is how can they plan lessons for the others to actually be supported. So that's going to encourage a lot of teachers to want to come in. So, those are the kind of things we're doing in order to increase the number of teachers in schools.
So let me get clarification on something. Is it a lack of trained teachers, those who actually went to teacher training colleges, that is the challenge, the lack of interest in that area? Or we have more of what we have is those who have qualified in other fields, but they do not have the opportunities for employment in their fields, and then they resort to teaching as a profession. Which trumps the other in the challenge that we have in the teaching profession?
I think we have problems. We have the two scenarios that you've actually described. Definitely, we have a lot of teachers who are, we have a lot of unqualified teachers, if I can call them that, who are teaching in our classrooms, but they don't have the teaching qualifications, particularly in our private schools. And it's one thing for you to say you've been to the school very well, you're well clued up and everything, but you may not have the pedagogy of how to actually break it down to suit the needs of the children. And that's why it cannot be one cap fitting all. So everybody has got to address that. And as soon as we have the accelerated program, that's going to bring a lot of teachers in, because a lot of teachers also, they might want to come to our public schools, because what is stopping them from coming to public schools is because of not having education degrees. So those are the kind of things we're looking at. And NTI is actually very well, they've actually prepared for this very well now, for them to be able to admit a lot of teachers that will be coming in, or unqualified teachers that want to come and upgrade themselves as quickly as possible.
So that's part of your mandate?
It is part of our mandate at the moment.
Let's go to our Lagos studio, and I'm sure Kayode has questions for you, hopefully about remuneration, which is key.
Well, thank you, Bukola. But let's start with the numbers. Can you give us a sense of just how many teachers we have registered in Nigeria, madam?
Oh, with TRCN?
Yes, please.
At the moment, we've got about 1.4 million teachers on a radar, and our target within the next 2 years is to get to 20 million, because with that, what we have done is to actually digitize our system so that we can embrace people more. All the things that have acted as hindrances before will not be able to actually deter people anymore. So a lot of people will be able to access us online, and quite a lot of people are finding it easy now, because now that we have trcn.gov.uk, they can do all their transactions online, and also they can print out their certificates at the comfort of their homes. So that's going to increase the number as quickly as possible.
I think you meant to say trcn.gov.ng. Am I correct? Not
.ng, yes.
Okay, .ng.
Oh, no, sorry, .ng.
No, it's okay.
.ng.
When you work across different time zones, these things happen. But I also want to speak to what do we imbibe in our teachers, right? Because we see a lot of buck stops at the teachers' tables, that of course the parents as well. But from time to time, you see that the standard varies across board. And I imagine for even teachers that are registered. So what is the minimum standard that is expected from a teacher who is registered in terms of the approach to teaching the students, in terms of the knowledge, upgrading yourself? We'll talk remuneration, which is very important. But I want to know what the minimum standard is. What do we imbibe in our teachers, such that they then imbibe that in the students or pupils?
Yeah, thank you very much. We expect very high standard in our teachers, because I tell people that if the standard is low, then the standard that our children will be getting will be very low. So we expect high standard. With NCE teachers, we expect them to be well qualified, and particularly with maths and literacy, you will see that these are the kind of things that we're actually testing now with professional qualifying exam in TRCN. Before you can get the certificate of TRCN, you've got to do the 5 subjects, and those 5 subjects will be mathematics, literacy, digital literacy, we have pedagogy and also safeguarding. Because with all this, it tells us where the standard of the teacher is. We expect every teacher to actually have at least the basic knowledge of mathematics and English. Because if you don't have this, you cannot cascade it down to the children. Subject knowledge in their teaching areas will be very, very important to us. And also, in terms of how do you actually differentiate lessons? And that's the pedagogy, because you can be a graduate from another area, from another discipline, but how effective are you as a teacher? So all those things are very, very important to us. And how do you differentiate lessons? How do you personalize it to suit the needs of those children? So it is very critical for teachers to read about all this now. And what we're doing in order to support our teachers at the moment is, you will see that on our website, we've actually got a particular portal on resources. So with resources, it empowers them on what to read to prepare for the exam. And we don't just want people to prepare for exam, but we want them to practicalize it in the classroom so that it becomes part of them.
So here comes...
It can actually have a positive effect on our children.
Indeed. So here comes the elephant in the room question. We always say to whom much is given, much is expected. But let me flip it. To whom much is expected, much must be given as well. It's hard to find children these days say, I want to be a teacher when I grow up. And it's obvious. They see their teacher who's teaching them and they say, do I want to be like this person? No. So they say, you know what, I want to be like Wizkid, or I want to be this and that. What exactly is the issue with remuneration when it comes to teachers? You find teachers these days who are earning 20,000 naira, 25,000 naira, and they're expected to imbibe knowledge. The only thing I see them imbibing is frustration on these children.
Thank you very much. That's still an area that we're looking into, because whether we like it or not, we need to raise the profile of teachers. We need to raise their morale as well, because with that, a lot of children definitely see that, and we're not going to hide from that fact. But at the same time, there are quite a lot of states that are paying good rates to our teachers at the moment, but we still have few private schools where teachers are seriously underpaid, and that's something we're looking at, because now we're doing a lot with our non-government schools in order to see that all these people are being catered for. But remuneration is going to be is a great way to raise the profile of teachers, but that's something that government is looking into.
Speaking of government now, let's begin to look at the real issues, which is another elephant in the room. I wonder if this has to do with, politics and such agencies are not able to be forthright with governments in demanding accountability. I read the other day, Wike is lamenting the inability of the state governments to utilize 250 billion naira of Wike funds to enhance, which is teaching and learning is part of what Wike funds will enhance. You have headed Wike before, Go State, I believe. Is that correct?
No, I was just a special advisor.
Okay, special advisor. So and NUT sometimes, are they forthright enough in demanding accountability from the state governments? What are the issues at the heart of, effective utilization of Wike funds?
Well, I would say sometimes it has to do from state to state, because if governors are not ready to do the counterpart funding, that can affect the use of funding from Wike. So to me, it's something that depends on individual states on how they are actually utilizing it. But at the same time, there are quite a lot of states that will always give their counterpart funding. And we can see the improvement in different states, because and that's why it's from state to state really. Because when you look at Enugu, for example, Enugu, with what we have seen there, it's very, very alarming, because we have a lot of smart city schools, and every class has interactive whiteboards, and that's because they have worked with Wike to be able to develop this. To mention but a few. So we have states like that.
Can we mention states that are not meeting the requirements? I'm going to put you on the spot, right? But it's important to have this conversation.
No, I'm sure there will be states like that, but I don't have them at the moment.
Off
really.
the cuff. Convenient answer. But as we wind down now, you say that, states are beginning to improve on remuneration, but we know that the minimum wage in the states vary. Our teachers on a different, pay grade apart from the minimum wage. I'd like you to speak to that.
Well, teachers are, most teachers are on minimum wage as well, depending on what the process is in individual state. And that's why I said everything depends on governors. Because if the governor is actually giving the minimum wage, definitely teachers will be remunerated well as well. So, to me, what we are seriously saying to every governor is, please support our teachers. Because everybody has got to realize that teachers are very, very important. We are the heart of building the, human capital. And that's not an area that you can joke with. And that's something that everybody is beginning to see, that, look, teachers are very important. NUT must speak out. We must not be quiet about it. And that's something that we're doing together.
Very quickly, in 10 seconds, what's the least teacher earning in a state? What's the highest the principal is earning?
Okay. I'll say some principals are on level 17, which is about 300,000 plus. And the least would be, we have states where teachers are earning about 20,000, which is not looking good.
Which is not looking good at all. 20,000, 300,000 for a principal is not, ideal at all. And our state governments must do beyond, go beyond the usual rhetoric of celebrating World Teachers' Day to doing right by our teachers. We must thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
We've been talking with the Chief Executive and Registrar of the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, Dr. Ronke Shoyombo, who has joined us here in our Abuja studio. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
We'll take a moment now, and when we return, we'll talk politics. Stay with us. We'll be right back. And so let's move on with our conversation. This time around, we're expanding the horizon, looking at politics at the national level, and with many implications, particularly for 2027. And joining us for this conversation is Senator Victor Umeh. He joins us right here in our Lagos studio.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's start from, the federal capital before we begin to look at politics at the state or at the national. All eyes are on the National Assembly, especially with events in the last couple of months. The activism towards, securing the gender bill in a good place before it gets to the state. There's also constitutional, review conversation. So what are we to expect from the Senate as the National Assembly resumes tomorrow, and which of the bills will the Senate be giving priority?
Well, the Senate and the National Assembly at large will be doing the jobs assigned to it by the Constitution. If there are any bills before the National Assembly, you can be sure that those bills will be most patriotically debated in the national interest. So most times people want to give directives to the National Assembly. We are the representatives of the people, and we know what the country needs because we are in touch with the people. Any bill that is before us that is desirable with a view to promoting national integration or development, the National Assembly will patriotically deal with it. So I would say the people will expect everything, because once we are properly constituted and we go to work, we cannot avoid discussing anything of national interest. So what is important is that if there are things before us and anybody has interest in them, they have to prepare. Lawmaking is a collective process. The Senate or the National Assembly will not pass any bill without subjecting it to public hearing. So if you have any strong points for or against a bill, you make use of a public hearing. That's why you come and make your points. A National Assembly, of course, will look at the points made at the national public hearing and graft them into the decisions they will make to be able to say we agree with this or we don't agree with this.
All right. There's one that is a major talking point, and for good reason, because of the standoff between the Senate leadership and the senator representing Kogi Central. If we have time, we're going to explore that part of the conversation later on. But let's quickly get to this one, which was also of huge concern over the past 2 weeks in Lagos. The demolition of trade fair structures, of structures at the trade fair, for which interpretations have been given that, business interests of Igbo extraction are being targeted. And we had this conversation with the Commissioner for Physical Planning in Lagos towards the end of last week. And explanations were provided to the effect that there is nothing of the sort, that your principal, and former governor of your state, Mr. Peter B, was only trying to whip up sentiments, that if you went to trade fair, some of those structures were actually in serious breach of physical planning rules. How satisfactory is the explanation of the Lagos state government to its activities at the trade fair, to you and indeed to the Labour Party?
Well, it's not a party issue. It's about dealing with human beings with consideration of the law. The country is governed by the Constitution and a set of laws. I'm disappointed to hear that the Commissioner for Physical Planning in Lagos State came to you to justify her illegal action. The Constitution is very clear on what constitutes a breach of the law. And for you to hold somebody in breach of the law, you must be acting in accordance with the law. One, the trade fair complex in Lagos is the subject matter, where the Lagos state government moved in with heavy machines you've shown on this screen now, to go and destroy people's investments and buildings without any justification. Trade fair complex is a federal establishment, and the Commissioner for Physical Planning knows that federal lands are under the control of the agencies of federal government, not state government. There are federal lands, there are state lands. If you go to Lagos now, or any part of Lagos, any property that belongs to the federal government, you go to the federal land registry in Ikoyi to ascertain the title of that property. You don't go to Alausa, land registry in Alausa. In other words, there are clear demarcations of jurisdiction between federal lands and state lands. And I speak to you from the position of authority. I'm an estate surveyor and valuer. I'm very vast in land matters. I'm a fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. What the Commissioner for Physical Planning in Lagos State did was an affront and a breach of the law. The people who manage the trade fair complex are people in the trade fair management board. It has the board has a CEO and the executive director. And for the fiscal commissioner to say that they went there to enforce law, she's been economical with the truth. They've never gone to that place. The
commissioner is a he, by the way, but
is he a he or she?
He, yeah.
Okay, I thought they said
but he's also
she.
saying that that the jurisdiction is still a subject matter of contention and conversations are still being had. But he also went ahead to say that even if you said that the original structures that were there from the 70s are under the federal government, that the entrepreneurs, they are beginning to build on lands that have not been occupied, and that land is under their own jurisdiction as the Lagos state government. How do you respond to that?
Please, the trade fair complex is not in the moon. It's in Lagos. If you go there, it is a space that is clearly defined. And Lagos state government has never gone there to do anything, either to collect property rate or ground rent or anything, or grant approval for any development taking place in the trade fair complex. It is the trade fair management boards that have been doing all this. until they moved in about 2 weeks ago to bring down the buildings on the 25th of September. They have never gone there before in all the years gone by. So it's not a place they've been exercising authority over, oversight function or anything over the years. Their entrance into that place to destroy the buildings was an intrusion. And if you speak to the executive director or CEO of the Trade Fair Management Board, you get the facts. They were also shocked. The board was also shocked that Lagos State government can move into that place without telling them. Even the traders themselves were not given any notice. They were not written. They were not questioned over anything. What I read in the papers were that the buildings were on canals and drainages. People were building, without approval. That is not true. All those buildings that you saw erected there were approved by the Trade Fair Management Board.
You went there with Mr.
Yes,
Peter Obi alongside other senators.
Other senators, yes.
And you didn't see structures that were,
clearly
without compliance with building rules. You've said that you're an expert surveyor.
Yes.
The commissioner said that those structures were built on canals. They were in serious breach of,
I don't know who. I don't know who he is.
And as such, they should take responsibility for it because there are disasters waiting to happen. Surely you cannot ignore that part.
No. You are believing him. You have not gone there. I have gone there. The reason why we went to look at the demolitions, one was to ascertain the veracity of their claim that the buildings were on drainage channels or places they were not supposed to build anything. And when we got there, we went round the whole place. No building was standing on a canal or on a drainage channel. It is the same thing with what they did when they went into Abuledo in Lagos and started demolishing buildings. When the place is in the hands of the Federal Housing Authority, not Lagos State government, So when they want to act, they act knowing deliberately that they're doing the wrong thing and come back and tell a lie that the buildings were standing on drainage channels and roads. And when that of Abuledo happened, I had to go to, I'm the Vice Chairman Senate Committee on Housing and Urban Development. I had to prevail on the Federal Housing Authority to oblige an investigation of what happened. And when the demolitions were going on, I had to speak to the then MD of the Housing Authority, Senator Benga Shafa, and he immediately halted the demolitions and allowed space for findings to be made. And the process of getting that done, another MD came in, the honorable that is there now. And patriotically, he agreed with me that you cannot demolish, look at what I say, demolish people's buildings. Let us go there. So on the 25th of January this year, I had to go to that Abuledo with the MD Federal Housing Authority, Honorable Oladimeji Tunde Ojo. We got there. We went around 2.5 hours in that estate. Will you know what happened? Not one building was standing on the canal or on the road as they claimed. And he was surprised and he said, you people told me that these buildings were standing on canals and that. So where are they now? He moved in, he has resolved the issues and regularized that place. So this one, they went into the trade fair complex where they have no business to go into, and he's saying that the buildings are standing on canals. If you go tomorrow, the buildings are there. They're not movable. If you go, you see for yourselves that the buildings are standing clearly out of the channel. There was wide setbacks.
All right.
So it is a deliberate act to intimidate the people, which I don't want to accept. You have alluded to it in your opening statement, that Igbos are being targeted. I don't want to see it that way. I want to see it as the authority not doing the right thing.
All right.
And I came here with my constitution.
Yeah, I know that you're picking up the constitution.
No, I came here with constitution. I want to read the line for you.
Okay.
I want to read the line for you.
Because Lagos also has some questions for you.
Yes, I want to read a line for you. It says here, chapter 2 of this constitution defines how we live together in Nigeria. Chapter 2 and chapter 3. But if you come to chapter 2, 15.3b, it says, it is the duty of the state to secure full resident rights for every citizen in all parts of the federation. In other words, everybody is entitled to live anywhere he likes in Nigeria, guaranteed by this constitution.
All right.
So this idea of, Igbos are in Lagos, they should go home and all that, go to a place, is baseless.
All right.
So you treat people with regard to the law. If you go there again, you see where it says that government actions shall be humane.
All right.
Government actions. So you see a building that is standing, people are doing business, you move in, caterpillar and all that, you pull down the building and go away. What have they done since they left?
All right.
Since they left, they have nothing to enforce.
Senator Umeh, suffice it to say at this point that we haven't believed any narrative.
Yes.
We're just capturing all sides to the story, capturing effectively as possible the position of the Lagos state government. But I'm sure Lagos has some questions for you. Over to you, Kayode.
Senator Umeh,
I'm not hearing you. Yes.
Right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Right. So I was saying that this Lagos is Lagos studio, not Lagos state government. But, you know, we had the commissioner seated right here in the studio. First, he said that this is not targeting the Igbos, that anybody is welcome, that the constitution is clear about that. So he said as much right here in our studio, because that was one of the questions we put to him. But he also said that plans must be approved by the Lagos state government if you want to place anything on land in Lagos state. What do you have to say to that about getting approval for a plan for a building? Who should give that approval?
Yes, every agency of government that is vested with right to administer interest in land will have approving authorities. It is not confined to Lagos State because it's Lagos State. The federal agencies of government, like in this case, this trade fair complex, they've been approving drawings. If you ask the commissioner sitting with you, ask him when have they approved a drawing for building development in that trade fair complex. When have they done it once? They've never done it. All these approvals have been given by the Trade Fair Management Board. They approve these drawings and give leases to people who develop properties there. They don't go to Lagos state government to get drawing approvals. And I'm asking him, let him tell you, when have they given approval for one building to be constructed in that place since 1995? Over 30 years. They've never done that. So it is just yesterday that they woke up and went and brought the buildings down, claiming that there were no building approvals. The estate or the trade fair complex has existed over 30 years. And Lagos state government has not been given approvals to developments taking place there. So this is his own claim, which does not stand. It doesn't hold water. Because that land does not belong to Lagos state government.
So we
have state lands.
Right. Are you by
they have their applying authority.
Right. Just to be clear, are you by effect or in essence saying that they have maybe derelicted their duty? Because it's the understanding is that there is concurrent jurisdiction. Yes, it's federally owned, but it's also in a state. So there's concurrent jurisdiction, perhaps in the area of physical planning, urban development, building regulation. So are you saying that over time they have neglected their role, their functions, and now they just all of a sudden woke up to that role? Is that what you're saying?
No, they didn't. Yes, what I'm saying, they didn't have the role at all. Ab initio. So it's not about the dereliction of duty, because they clearly know that they have no jurisdiction over that land. That's why we have every state in the Federation of Nigeria, you have federal lands. They build housing estates, and so on and so forth. And the state government do not go there. They don't interfere. The Federal Housing Authority has their own locations everywhere in the states of the Federation. They are charged with the responsibility of due management and administration of those federal lands. So the state government cannot go in. They don't have concurrent jurisdiction because it is clearly separated and defined. The lands that are in Lagos State that are not federal lands are vested on the governor of Lagos State. And when the lands that do not belong to Lagos State are federal lands, you don't exercise any jurisdiction over it. It's as simple as that. Because if they had that jurisdiction or role to exercise over the years, they would have been doing these things as a matter of routine and responsibility. They've never given any approval to anybody over 30 years. And this thing they're doing to these traders is because they think they can intimidate them. They cannot intimidate them. They have rights to be where they are, doing lawful businesses, and go to that place. These people have contributed so much to the development of Lagos. The same people you destroy their buildings, their businesses, are the people who are keeping the ports busy. They are the people who bring in goods from all over the world, clear them in the ports in Lagos, and you continue chasing them around. When they move their goods on the roads, you go and hold them in the roads and place all kinds of roadblocks for them, sometimes 50, before you go between one location and the other.
Right.
So you have to allow them. And like I said, the Constitution says government actions must be humane. If you want to say that there is something somebody has done that infringed the law, you give him notice. He must come.
The commissioner
give notice, give warning,
right,
and call the person and tell him this is what you have done. They didn't do any of it because they have no right to do so. The place doesn't belong to them. It's a federal land. Well, they don't have jurisdiction over it.
Senator, the commissioner also said that they had given notice. There was mixed messaging in that sense, because the trader said they didn't get notice. He said they had gone to give notice, but some of their officials were harassed and all of that.
Kayode, let me tell you, we are all Nigerians.
I know. I'm just...
And when I come here, when I come here, I have not come here to be bullied with lies. Because the man there knows that they have never given one building approval for any development to take place in the trade fair complex.
Right.
Let him bring one drawing they have approved in the past 30 years.
Well, that's a fair point,
so
Senator Umeh.
I'm just waking up in the morning trying to intimidate people.
Right,
they
that's a fair point. All I'm doing is representing the comments he made. Perhaps you missed it. I'm just representing the comments he made right here.
I'm not seeing his face. I want to see his face.
It's on our YouTube page. You can watch that. But Senator Umeh, this is a question.
You cannot hide.
Right. This is a question.
You cannot hide.
This is a question I want to ask. By the way, the interview was last week. You know, we're meant to have you, but we couldn't have you. It was last week, Friday. But here's my question. There are a lot of people who also saw the visit by the Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, yourself, and Senator Baribe as, well, could be interpreted as provocative in that sense. Why not visit the governor? Why not visit the governor, some people have said, so it can be resolved at that level? So maybe you speak to the rationale behind that. Did you try to reach the governor? Was he unreachable? And for those who are maybe interpreting this as possibly provocative, what do you say to them?
No, they should not leave the substance and begin to chase shadow. People are doing their lawful businesses, and you moved in with machines to bring their buildings down, destroy their shops with the goods in them. And it is shown. It was shown on television. Everybody saw it. We had to go there. Myself, I'm an estate surveyor, and I told you, I knew that Lagos government was acting wrongly and against the law. So when we saw it, we are the representatives of the people. Over 70% of the people in that place are our people. And you cannot go and bully them and intimidate them and abandon them. Mr. Peter Obi was one of the developers of that trade fair complex, if you don't know. So he has a plaza there. He has a plaza there. Over 200 shops, far back in 1995. So, and he's a patron of the place. All the associations there, he is their patron. So he cannot see that, and people call him that they are being dealt with against the provisions of the law. And you want him to start running around to start looking for governor of Lagos State. So if the land belongs to Lagos State government, yes, the place to go will be to interface with the agents of government of Lagos. But they don't own the land. The land doesn't belong to them. They acted illegally. How can you now begin to tell somebody that is acting illegally and provocatively when you are completely in breach? And you know that the land does not belong to you. And you know that you have not been exercising oversight over that estate.
So why is the Federal Housing Authority,
why should you go there?
Why is the Federal Housing Authority, the voice of the Federal Housing Authority, visibly absent amongst, amid this conversation? We've heard the Lagos State government. We've heard the CEO of the Trade Fair Complex. But the authority that you and the CEO, the entrepreneurs in Trade Fair are claiming to have jurisdiction, they're not speaking.
Well, maybe you have to go and ask them why they're not speaking. But Trade Fair Complex does not belong to Federal Housing Authority. This place is under the purview of the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment. They are the people managing the Trade Fair Complex. The Federal Housing Authority is overseeing residential estates like Festac Town, and the rest of it.
Or the Ministry of Commerce.
Or the Ministry of Commerce, you know. So the truth is that sometimes when something happens, you begin to look much more deeply to know what is happening. I consider this action as unnecessary aggression against the people in Lagos. Demolitions are going on not only in Trade Complex. I've told you about Abulado, even though it was maturely handled by the managing director of Federal Housing Authority because of my intervention. Demolitions are going everywhere. And Lekki, you see it every day. How can government be sleeping? People will now go and they develop magnificent buildings, and you go and destroy them because you are the authority. Even if you have the right, government says that the constitution says that government actions should be humane. You know, government action should be humane.
What do you say from a bigger picture now? What do you say to people who say, you know, you cannot just go to Igbo land also to buy land? That in fact non-indigens hardly own land in Igbo land because of culture, you know, and other related issues. What do you say to them? And that they are overstepping their bounds in Lagos and in other parts.
That is fallacy. Anybody who wants to buy land in Igbo land will have access to land. Like these ones in Lagos. People have been buying and developing from the Suenu chieftaincy family and the rest of it from 100 years ago. You know, the Igbos are commercial people. They're all over the world. They drive commerce in West Africa, in Central Africa, beyond the shores of Nigeria, Asia, everywhere.
So, do non-indigens on a massive scale own land in Igbo land?
If you have money, want to buy land. I mean, it's an open market. If you see land to buy and you have money to pay for it, nobody can tell you, I will not sell it to you. It's a question of demand and supply. If you have money to buy land and you spot any land, many people have bought lands in Onisha, in Oka, in Enugu, those who are interested. If you are not interested, the Igbos will not carry their land and come and give you.
That must be subjected to some form of empirical study.
Yes.
Lastly,
nobody can deny you purchase of land.
We've seen your principal, Mr. Peter Obi, with former President Goodluck Jonathan, with a lot of speculations about what is exactly happening as far as that meeting is concerned ahead of 2027 presidential election. So what is the positioning of Mr. Peter Obi? Is he leaving the Labour Party? Is he registering with the ADC? What exactly is his strategy? Or is he working with former President Goodluck Jonathan? In 90 seconds, because it was wrap up.
No, this question is not well placed. One is they are talking about Mr. Peter Obi and his political interest, what he wants to do. He saw him with Jonathan, his friend, and all that, and they want me to answer what they're discussing. One, for me, I didn't come here to discuss politics. What I came here to do is to emphasize the point that Igbos in Lagos should be left alone. They are contributing to the development of Lagos, and they've done that over the years. They're contributing to the GDP of this country. About 6.6 trillion naira was collected by the customs in this past 1 year. 6.6 trillion naira. Do you know those paying those duties? They are the Igbos. They are the people bringing these goods from all over the world.
I'm paying duties.
You should allow them. You should allow them breathe.
I wanted you to speak to politics, or most anchor.
Allow them to breathe. Allow the Igbos to breathe. Let them do their business and respect their rights. We don't want people telling people to go away. It's like one day, Wari people in Abuja will order everybody in Abuja to go back to their state. Everybody will leave Abuja. So we don't promote such thing. The Constitution forbids it. So if you see anybody, any citizen of Nigeria, according equal respect, equal rights, equal opportunities. That is the framing of this constitution. We both didn't write this constitution. And for them to say that you grant every citizen of Nigeria full resident rights in all parts of the federation, it's because of a thing like this. When somebody starts claiming, after you come to develop his place, he will ask you to go.
Thank you so much.
It's very uncharitable. Very uncharitable. We
must really anchor at this point. Thank you so much.
Tell that commissioner that I would like to see him.
Victor Umeh, he's the senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial District and also former chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance. Of course, is now with the Labour Party. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you very much. And keep doing the good job you are doing here.
Yes.
Let Nigerians always know the truth.
All right.
Yes, people should act in accordance with the Constitution.
Indeed.
Follow the Constitution and the law.
All right.
And when you cross the line, you are creating problems.
We really must go now.
You are creating problems when you cross the line.
We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll talk about the Nigeria Railway Corporation. And of course, the managing director of the corporation joins us from our Lagos studio. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Well, let's talk about transport now, particularly rail transport. Some weeks ago, we had that incident, the Kaduna-Abuja rail line. But guess what? The service is back now. It came back on October the 1st, and we have joining us the Managing Director of the Nigeria Railway Corporation, Mr. Kayode Okpeifa, is right here with us in our Lagos studio. Good morning, Mr. Okpeifa.
Yeah, good morning, Kayode.
You didn't take a train all the way to Lagos, did you?
Very soon.
Very soon. Because I think that will be a major game changer for a lot of people. There are people who cannot afford the airfare. The road travel is a bit, uncomfortable sometimes.
Apart from that, it's also safer, and there's a more relaxing, more comfortable.
So how long do we have to wait for that to happen?
It takes time to do constructions. Very soon, the government will be extending the Ibadan end of the Lagos Canal to Osogbo and off to Abuja. And once we connect Ibadan to Abuja, we will have completed the Lakadi. That is from Lagos to Kano, to Lagos to Abuja, to Kaduna, to Kano, and then to Maradi.
Oh, so are we talking 1 year? 2
No,
years?
definitely not 1 year.
2 years.
The Kaduna Kano is going on around 60, 65. The Kano Maradi around 60, 65. We're looking at 2026 and 2027 for the completion of that. Within that period, the Ibadan to Osogbo should kick off any moment from now. We see another 3 years from now. We should be able to go from Lagos, not just Lagos, Tinkan Port. Because the line will also be extended from Apapa Port to Tinkan Port. So you can move your container, your goods from the Tinkan Port or from the Apapa Port straight down to Kano, Kaduna, and people from Niger Republic, Nigerians doing business, and in line with the AU 2063 agenda to link up the landlocked countries, will be able to move goods from Niger Republic down to Lagos Port.
That's great to look forward to, and we hope it's expedited. But there are a lot of people who still complain that they're not able to transport containers, even with the current arrangements, goods and all of that on that rail line. What exactly is
there are two issues. It's an issue of capacity, and then there is issue of the distance. Now, most of those complaints are from people who wants to go beyond Ibadan. So it doesn't make sense for me to take it to Ibadan, then continue to move by road to wherever I'm going. Then in terms of a capacity, the Nigerian Railway and logistics partner, the capacity is almost at optima now. It's like you have let me just give you a figure. You have 100 containers or freight cargo to move, and the capacity from our end can take only 25. So what do? You can only move to 25. So the remaining 75 people
will use the road.
Will easy use, that's it. And that also we're working on.
All right. We're going to speak to that, but I want us to go back to the elephant in the room, the big one. We had you some weeks ago after that incident involving the Kaduna-Abuja rail line, and you accepted responsibility. A lot of Nigerians were quite surprised, maybe pleasantly. It's not a thing they hear a lot when a government official comes and says, you know what, I take full responsibility for that. But beyond the full responsibilities, then what will happen next to ensure that it doesn't repeat itself again, particularly the areas that were identified from the NSIB report? Just how well or how sound is that corridor now? Yes, I know you joined them. I know you took a ride to allay people's fears, but speak to us about what was done, what you put into that.
Okay, first of all, let me talk on this issue of taking. I don't think I'm the first Nigerian to do that. Many Nigerians have been doing that. And
no, it's not a usual thing.
And in particular, the current President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had, in many of his speeches, taking responsibility. When people say they have issues, the economy, he says he takes responsibility for his reforms, and he's assuring Nigerians that those reforms will bring good results. Just like we're seeing now. So on the accidents, you see, when you are in charge of an organization, you inherit both assets and liabilities, and all the opportunities that people call challenges now becomes to your own use. When that thing happened, it was unexpected, but from the preliminary investigation we have done, it didn't take more than a week before we concluded our preliminary investigation. We discovered that there was human error. Somebody just went on the wrong speed and busted the point. And after busting the point, the people started calling us, when are they going to get back? What they expected was for us to just get them back on the next day, because that corridor is very critical.
So the driver exceeded the speed limit.
We have what they call the caution order at that point. It's a point where train changes lane, and even though it was set on straight lane, the speed was too much.
What was the speed? What is the...
I wouldn't go into that. But
no, so Nigerians will understand. What are you not meant to go beyond? What's the speed limit?
No, they call it the caution order. There is a temporary speed restriction order. A certain speed will be mentioned. And every driver gets that instructions on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. This one was a temporary restriction that has been there for a long while. So for whatever reasons, we're all human beings. We make mistakes. We went on that thing, and that accident. Then that responsibility now pushes back to me, regardless of what has happened. As the CEO and as an organization, we have to put that line back. What will it require? We told people that it will take 30 days. And by the 30th day, we are ready. We just chose October 1 to be significant, so that Nigerians can see, can have a feel of access to their own critical national asset. And that is also expected to reignite patriotism in Nigeria. What went into that? Give credit to the Nigerian engineers. Those technicians, those young guys, the engineers among them, they came together. They gave us a map, a roadmap of what we need to do. We assembled all the materials, critical materials. They're all in our stores there in Abuja. We went there, we packed them up, we put them on the train. We went through our normal protocols. That's for the construction. For the recovery, it was fantastic. NEMA was there on time. Nigerian Army was there on time. Nigerian Air Force was there on time. Everybody that needed to be there, Ministry of Health, Federal Capital Territory, Nigerian Railway Corporation, the Federal Ministry of Transportation. So everybody was there. We now moved to the recovery stage. It was tough. There were rains. And at the same time, we needed to move equipment. Our equipment had to move on the rails, not on the road. So we couldn't move our equipment from Lagos to Abuja, just like you said earlier. We couldn't move the one in Agbo, from Agbo to Abuja, because you can only get to Ajaokuta, Itakwe. So we had to rent. Then the issue of funding comes in, the issue of guarantees, the issue of trust. Eventually we got from far away Kano, because that equipment, that locomotive is about 130 tons. So you need a crane of about 200 tons. So we got a Kano. For days, the crane would not arrive. Issues on the road, 3-4 days. The crane came, the road was prepared. There was rain the day before, the place was wet. We have to prepare another access for the crane, give it to those engineers. They know what to do. They got the crane there. But before the crane came, our men used our monkey jacks, that is semi-manual, semi-automated, and they derail the rail 6 back to stage, remaining 2. The remaining 6, remaining 4, and the crane was able to do the 4.
I mean,
and then we have to go on safety check again.
Exactly, and to ensure that everything is fine. So let's do a checklist of sorts. Let's do a ticking of a checklist, because the NSIB report mentioned some things. So the automatic crossing point switch mechanism, which the NSIB said was found unserviceable, has that been fixed?
I told you I won't discuss the NSIB report.
Just to tick.
No.
So Nigerians know
there's no problem with it.
So all of those issues have been resolved.
Problem with that.
So the switch point, which is said to have been manually operated, the personnel that the NSIB said only had
that's also
initial training.
I would plead that we stay away from the NSIB report.
But I just want to be sure, because this is about safety. Have they been resolved?
They've been resolved.
They've been resolved. All those issues have been resolved. Because it's important for the Nigerians who will be riding that to have it at the back of their mind.
I think the NSIB will are best position to further expansion.
Speak on that, and to confirm indeed that those
we are the
issues
ones
resolved.
that has been, in the face of the public. The best thing is to allow the examiner come and explain what it meant. But to the best of my knowledge, what I got to understand was that was not their intention.
Well, Bukola, over to you now.
Yes, thank you, Kade. Good morning, Dr. Okwefa. Good to see you again.
I'm also Kayode.
I know that you do not want to discuss
Kayode.
the NSIB report. You've emphasized that. But perhaps we could talk about, what came out about the time of the NSIB report, which was 95% increase in salaries for trained staff and training. And the NSIB report touched on training. I'm just wondering if that report from the NRC was reactionary in anticipation of the NSIB report, and not because deliberate steps had been taken to resolve issues of poor remuneration of NRC staff, which has been on for years prior to your resumption as head of the corporation.
I'm trying to stay away from the NSIB report because I've read it and it does not discuss, it does not state all those things that have been peddled in the media. But let me say it, the Nigerian Railway Corporation staffs are well trained. In fact, in Africa, you can say they are some of the best trained rail workers. One, what we call training is not when you go to South Africa or United Kingdom. We are not in the aviation industry. So training is not until you go and do certification with IATO or whatever you call it. Nigerian Railway remains the main place where you get your training. And they go on training every Wednesday again, the drivers especially. They have what you call the WIC, WIC, they do that every Wednesday. It's a retraining system. So I don't want to go into that, but to assure Nigerians, they are not only well trained, they are super trained. And you can see that in the engineers. And if a driver of a channel, for example, overspeeds and got involved in an accident, and I think the most important thing is to address the issue of that accident and face the going forward. Now, on the training of our staff, we had our own report, and our report states clearly that everybody working in Abuja, Kaduna, TS should be trained. Those are normal protocols when you have an accident or an incident. Whether they are well trained or not, what you call is reconditioning, to take them through what has happened, to remove trauma. Part of the training is not training of how to drive or techniques of driving. It's a training on removing trauma, getting them back to the mindset of driving. Those are the same drivers still driving, except the 3 that were involved on duty on that day that were not going to be on the wheels until our own investigation and disciplinary process is concluded. So let me assure you, in the last 127 years, Nigerian Railway had been serving this country, and the issue has never come of a driver or training or whatever. And currently, as of today, we are training for some African countries. We are also training states that are running train services. We are also carrying out certification. So we are competent in that regard, and we are good to go for business. And we actually gone beyond that. We finished our investigation within 7 days, and we completed the emergency recovery, restoration, and now we are back on track. My focus now is to take that organization with my team to where we're supposed to be, beyond, at least at the top of Africa.
All right, how soon will that 95% increase in remuneration be implemented? Okay,
on remuneration, this has been on since the last administration. There was a 95% granted to the staff and by the previous administration, and I can assure you this administration will do it. But let me say this, it has never been a matter of contention, because as soon as I resumed, I gave them the assurance that I would personally meet with Mr. President and all those that are involved in getting the thing actualized and it to be done. The issues has to do with some documentation, the delay. There are documentation required by some agencies of government, and there are also some expectations as for NRC to prove certain things, which we're about getting done. We'll do it. But it has nothing to do with the accident. That's number one. Number two, it has nothing to do with the morale. Their morale is at the highest level, and you can confirm that from the AUR. You can confirm from the SSA, the two unions. They know what we're doing. They know we will get it, and they know the current administration will get it for them. And I can assure publicly that they will get it. I know the government that made the commitment will fulfill that commitment. What are being asked from NRC is what I am focusing on to make sure it's ready. We have 10,800 workforce. We're not talking of small money. And then we have to prove that those 10,800 workers are real workers. And that's a tedious but achievable exercise. We're about completing that.
All right. All right, we hope that implementation comes through soon, and indeed that their morale is high upon confirmation, as you have said. But one more thing that is just as critical, which is security around rail tracks as trains travel. In April, and that was not the first time, by the way, we saw a train traveling from Abuja, I believe, to Itakwe, running into a hitch, a breakdown, and then travelers trekked miles through the forest amid huge security concerns. Thankfully, they got to their destination safely. What is your proposal as MD of the NRC for enhancement of security around rail tracks? It was a big talking point during the popular Abuja-Kaduna train accident in 2022, when it came through that there had been proposals for fences to be built around rail tracks as they travel. What is your proposal to bring about an enduring solution to the security concern around trail tracks, which is a big issue?
Thank you very much. And just like you alluded, let me first say that incidences will happen, maybe breakdowns or whatever, is not unusual, is not the ideal, and it is not unique to Nigeria. Just recently, you saw Reno Omokri talking from a train in London also. Then we saw Kogbagidi, that celebrity music icon, also involved in similar incident that you described that happened also in the UK. So it will happen, and we've seen this happen in the last 1 or 2 months in the transport for London. Even in the tube, people are stranded for 8 hours. Now, what happened in April and also recently, I think, on the Warri Itakwe, you mentioned, I'm sorry, on the Port Harcourt-Aba route, is that when incidents happen, a lot of people feel they are better safe to come down and find a way to escape. But like you said, like you alluded to, it happened and there was no security breach. That tells you there's something or certain things we are doing that is keeping the security in proper shape. So security is not an issue, because in that incident in 2022 or so, we've not had any security breach. And on the particular one you mentioned, when that thing happened, we evacuated everybody by bus. And it is those who, everybody that waited by bus, it is those who felt they are going somewhere close by, and they trek. The same thing happened on the Imo River. So it's a very unexcusable situation for trains to break down, because sometimes it's inside the bush. In the case of Imo River situation, a rescue train was brought in, but you know, they are traders, they have goods, and they quickly took their goods and moved their way, but the rest were moved to Port Harcourt. So it tells you, if there were no security breaches under those conditions, that something definitely is going on security-wise. I wouldn't want to explain that online, but we will continue. And you notice this last accident, as soon as it happened, within minutes, less than 5 minutes, the Nigerian Army people were there. That tells you they are along that corridor. The Air Force came over. That means they are watching over that corridor. The vigilante, the local community people came in to assist the rescue. That means there are people on that corridor. Then we also have our own in-house viewing and monitoring center. And okay, you are in Abuja. I'll make arrangement for you to visit the control room, and you will see what goes on in the control room.
Okay, Mr. Okwefa, let's do a final analysis of the infrastructure as it is, and help people understand what exactly is playing out. I saw some posts online about the the website was not working at some point. I hope that's been fixed.
Our own website?
Yes. Some people were trying to access
that must be a network. That must be not our website.
Okay.
Our website is
because there are a lot of them who put up posts saying that we can't access your website.
They are talking about ticketing.
Okay, and isn't that the same thing?
You can go through the website. Yeah. There are 3 options.
Okay, so for those who are not able to access nrc.tps.ng. Yeah, so what's the other option?
Okay, sir, you see they say .tps. Yeah. The NRC site hosts the TPS. TPS is the ticketing company.
Right.
It's a private concern.
Right.
So if they have loads, you have it with your phone. Sometimes I can call in and says the person you are calling is unavailable or is switched off. Why? So that's a network issue.
So they can always.
And it's a national, it's a general issue.
Okay.
However, if you have that concern, you can use web, you can use the app.
All right.
There are 2 options. However, it is true that line has issues. One, the issue sometimes is due to traffic, the volume of traffic, and eventually, because the demand and supply, you have 200 tickets and you have 100 people.
In fact, the point you just made now, I recently heard someone complaining that just a few minutes after the website was open for purchase, it was gone.
Gone, yeah.
And a lot of people suspect
Everybody's
there's still a lot of racket going on. People buying tickets, holding it just to sell at increased price.
That is not unexpected also when you have a demand and supply. It's just like your football tickets, your cinema tickets.
I saw I knew you were going to give that example.
However, what is of concern to us is to increase supply,
all right,
to limit the extent to which people profiteer from the system.
All right.
And that is my concern now.
Okay.
How to bring in more locomotives, how to extend the lines, and how to make the service more customer friendly, how to make the booking system more transparent. That when you book, you see how many seats are left.
All right. Final point, Mr. Okwefa, because I know you have quite a busy day.
I'm available.
Let's do just a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Lagos to Ibadan, how efficient is it? On a scale of 1 to 10.
That's so far the most efficient of our lines.
Okay.
And if I compare it with others, I should just rate it.
Yeah, just rate it.
Now, think it. There's still no way I want them to be.
All right. Warri Takwe.
Warri Takwe is problematic. So we are working hard to get. It's not on now.
I know.
We are working hard. Warri Takwe is seriously problematic.
What is the problem? 10
issues. 10 different issues. Vandalism. It passes through the bush. It was meant for cargo. We need to clear the bushes. 3 is the capacity. Then 4 is the cost. It's 385, it's something kilometers. Twice Lagos, Ibadan, charging the same amount. Then you have equipment. That area needs more equipment than any other line. Unfortunately, it has only one.
So when is it? When will it be?
So I can't give a date. There are 10
at this moment, so we can't get a date.
I will never, even if it's tomorrow, I won't give you a date on the media like this. Once it's about to happen, we will give you a press statement, and we are communicating with the media. But let me take advantage of being on channels to let them know is that I don't want to use the word very soon any longer because they don't want to hear very soon any longer. The issue has to do with capacity. We have to get the right size. If you go below size, it will affect the safety of the equipment and the people. So we want to get to be on the right side. You can run today effectively,
all right,
but we are on the wrong size.
Okay, Mr. Okwefa, we have to run right now, but as you said, we'll have this conversation with you. I think it's important to always check in with you from time to time. But we thank you for your work. We've been speaking with Mr. Kayode Okwefa.
Let me use the opportunity to thank channels.
We're grateful for that. Thank you very much. Mr. Kayode Okwefa, MD, NRC. Thank you for your time.
To my friend in Abuja, good morning, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, sir.
All right, that's where we anchor at this point. 2 Coyotes from here in Lagos, 1 Bukola in Abuja. Thank you for being a part of the show. I'm Kayode Okikule.
And we hope we've been able to brighten your day. So pay it forward today and all through the week. I am Bukola Koka. Bye for now.